You were told an ICE agent in Minnesota murdered an innocent woman. You were told this was proof that federal agents are out of control and that the president, he's this evil villain, is all to blame. And that was the narrative. Here's the problem. It doesn't survive contact with the actual evidence. Tonight, I'm going to show you the agent's own body cam footage, and we're going to stack it up against what left-wing politicians and their media allies told you. Let's look at the footage and we'll break it down.
New video will be a crucial piece of evidence in this investigation because it was recorded by the agent himself, and it shows the events leading up to the shooting from his point of view. Here is that entire video.
Here you see the agent at the front of the vehicle, walking around to the driver's side. He's got his cell phone camera out, and he's wanting to get a photo of her and also the license plate.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you.
It's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later.
Here is the, I would say, assailant. This is the assailant's wife agitating the agent, trying to get a rise out of him. Camera in the face, says, "We'll be back."
That's fine. U.S. citizen. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Oh!
That's the ICE agent backing off. He comes around to the front of the vehicle. I'll play it again. It's so quick. It's lucky this guy's alive. You see that? Watch how this happens again.
Boy, go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out.
She backs up, turns the wheel, hits the agent.
Vice President J.D. Vance reacted to this new video on X, saying, "Many of you have been told this law enforcement officer wasn't hit by a car, wasn't being harassed, and murdered an innocent woman. The reality is that his life was endangered and he fired in self-defense." No response to the new video from city officials, but earlier today, Mayor Jacob Fry doubled down on his belief that this was a reckless abuse of power and that any argument that this agent feared.
So what you're seeing there is undeniable evidence that the ICE agent was at the front of the vehicle, walked to the back of the vehicle, had video or a phone in his face from the, I would say, assailants, the attacker, the driver's spouse trying to agitate him. He goes around the passenger side of the vehicle, comes around to the front of the vehicle, makes his way in front of the vehicle. She reverses, cuts the wheel, and drives right into him. It looks like he stumbled back, or it looks like he was hit. I'm sure he was. This ICE agent has already had one incident where he was actually dragged a year ago. The news media, the left-wing media, these politicians made their decisions. They have been judge, jury, and executioner without seeing all the evidence. And when you see the difference, you realize this wasn't just a mistake. This was a smear campaign. 20 years under the water on submarines in the United States Navy taught me a few things. You don't make life and death calls on vibes, headlines, Twitter, or TikTok videos. You make them on evidence, facts, reality. But in the Minnesota ICE shooting, the people with the biggest megaphones, the loudest ones, the squeaky wheels, they get all the oil. My grandmother told me a long time ago, God rest her soul, an empty wagon rattles the most. We've seen a lot of empty wagons. We've seen a lot of people without any information. Before there was an investigation, before there was a full report, before this body cam was public, leftist politicians and the news media, they all ran to the cameras and they ran to social media and they condemned this ICE agent. They called him a murderer. They have probably ruined his life and put his family in danger because they posted photos of him and his wife. The news media handed them the microphone, no questions asked, and said, "Hey, have you got something for a hot take?" You get all these outrage grifters. David Pakman, he is online. He's turning this deadly, chaotic moment into just another tool to attack the president and federal law enforcement. They are dancing on the grave of this lady. She made a bad decision. Her family is going to have to live with that for the rest of their lives. But now we finally, what they didn't bother to wait for, the ICE agent's own body cam. And when you compare what actually happened to what they told you happened, the entire narrative collapses. I'm going to walk you through a couple of other moments here. More importantly, Will Cain, Fox News, just laid down the thunder on one of these politicians, and it show you exactly how this narrative has gotten out of control.
Interviewed any eyewitnesses on the ground?
That's what we were just talking about.
Have you interviewed any eyewitnesses on the ground in Minneapolis? Have you interviewed any eyewitnesses?
Have I personally interviewed them? No,
Yes.
that's not my job. My job is to speak truth to power.
It's really
and
interesting,
when I look
your
at that
job.
video, I see murder. And I
So
think we should call it that if that's what happened. And by the way,
Congressman,
I've been
you
in
invoked
situations
the
like that.
concept
Have you ever
of due process. I've looked at your tweets.
Well,
You've talked about the concept of due process. No, this is important for everybody to understand. You have a job, and you have highlighted to us as a congressman. You watched a viral video. I don't know how many videos you watched. There's multiple angles, but you watched a video. You didn't interview a witness. You didn't look at law enforcement reports. You haven't spoken to the agent involved. And with that limited knowledge of looking at a viral video, you went to social media and you condemned the federal officer to murder. You made that conclusion long before an investigation is played out. And I'm just curious, is that in line with your vision of due process?
That was Seth Moulton. And Will Cain laid it out. I think his reins are off right now. This guy is bringing the thunder. That's exactly what happened. They all run to social media. They run to their camera. They run to the little corridor there in the atrium in the Capitol. And they're looking for a news reporter. And that's why you can't trust them. You can't trust the media. And on this channel, we expose how the media helps weaponize the narrative. They weaponize this tragedy for political gain. And you don't have to like ICE. You don't have to like Trump. But if you care at all about the truth, you should be furious about how this story was sold to you. Let's start with what you were told. Within hours of the shooting, the script was already written and it was passed out to everyone. ICE agent, that guy, bloodthirsty, out of control thug. The woman, simple, helpless, victim, mother, hard worker, just this compassionate woman. The president, no, he's the shadow villain behind it all, creating this kind of violence. And leading that charge, politicians like Democrat Seth Moulton. All they want is the truth. They're just here for the truth and nothing but the truth. Well, Seth, I don't think you can handle the frickin' truth, right? And he went online, called this ICE agent a murderer. Not. He didn't want answers. He didn't want, this looks concerning. He declared him a murderer. No interviews with witnesses. No review of reports. No conversation with the agent whose life was on the line that day. Just a video clip that fits his politics and a rush to social media to score points and pass out the dopamine hits for all the raging Karens with septum rings. That's what it is. And now you've got George Floyd 2.0 breaking out in Minneapolis. You have the mayor there telling ICE agents to get the F out. You have McDonald's not allowing ICE agents to eat there. You have Hilton hotels not allowing ICE agents to stay in their hotels. You have violence about to erupt. It is a cooker. It is boiling over. And not one of these damn politicians will come out and say, I was wrong. They will never admit it. The left-wing news media will never come out and say, we got it wrong. There are zero repercussions for these. I got to be careful. But there's no repercussions. There is no penalty for them getting it wrong. Think of your weatherman where you live. They probably get it right 10% of the time and they still got a job because it's some cute chick in a cocktail dress at 5 a.m., right? That's what happens. That's what happens. You watched the video. I didn't interview any witnesses, but I waited for the narrative. I waited to see how they were going to spin it. And then I waited for the body cam footage and you saw it. And That's exactly what needs to happen. But that's a member of Congress using a man he doesn't know in a situation he doesn't understand as a prop. Now, the same people that are doing this celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk. They celebrated Daniel Penny fighting for his life in court. They celebrated Donald Trump being shot. They celebrated another person trying to do the same thing to Donald Trump. Are you starting to understand who the actual enemy is, who the adversary is? Because the media loves this. They don't ask the obvious questions. Congressman, have you seen the full footage? Have you read the reports? Did you see the body cam? No, they run with narratives. If it bleeds, it leads. They do not give an actual damn about the truth, and you know it.
Is reporting tonight that she was part of a local organization and she was labeled as an ICE warrior. Her role was to go out and impede ICE to do videos and stalk these guys. I mean, can we not just admit right here, right now, can we all agree, but for her actions, we would not be having this discussion tonight?
No,
that is absolutely true.
She was a warrior for ICE. They go out and follow the ICE agents. They're all on this website. I forget the name of it. I'm sure somebody in the comments will know exactly what the name is. But they dox the ICE agents. They say where they live, what they're driving, the license plates, where they're staying, and they harass them. CNN gets called out to it in their face, and they won't even acknowledge the truth when it hits them in the face. Like exactly what I want to say right now, but it would be a horrible joke. It would be a horrible pun, so I won't. Now, all of this is revolving around these sanctuary cities. And Joe Biden, way back in 2020, brought this all up because the sanctuary cities is where all of these people that are not supposed to be here go. They seek refuge. They seek sanctuary. Listen to Joe Biden. You get rid of these sanctuary cities, a lot of these problems go away. You know it as good as I do.
You allow these cities to ignore the federal law regarding the reporting of illegal immigrants and, in fact, provide sanctuary to these immigrants.
The reason the cities ignore the federal law is the fact that there is no funding at the federal level to provide for the kind of enforcement at the federal level you need. Part of the problem is you have to have a federal government that can enforce laws. This administration has been fundamentally derelict in not funding any of the requirements that are needed even to enforce the existing law.
So, Senator Biden, yes or no, would you allow the cities to ignore the federal law?
No.
Okay.
Joe Biden, in his own words, said how sanctuary cities become more dangerous, and he said he wouldn't allow it. I'm waiting for the left. I'm waiting for the left to acknowledge it because that's the oatmeal god right there, right? And the way you frame things is exactly how it stays together or it falls apart. And right now, their narrative is absolutely in splinters. Now, we all are understanding a little better of how this mechanism works. You sell outrage, you sell anger, you sell negativity. Negativity sells, and it's very contagious. Back on a submarine, whenever I was in the Navy, morale is the key to the entire mission. Faith in the captain, faith in the XO, faith in the chief of the boat. You can't lose confidence in leadership unless it is planned. And that's what we're seeing. And we called that mutiny whenever I was in the Navy. And right now, the United States is seeing a little bit of a mutiny. Actually, I would say it's a larger dose of a mutiny right now. You have one political party that will do nothing but tear apart what is happening. And they put all of the blame on the president. Because if they can do that, they can try to take control of the narrative leading into the midterms coming into 2026. This was a golden opportunity until it all fell apart with the body cam footage. Now, the government, January 30th, will probably get shut down because Democrats are going to refuse to vote for any kind of budget, and they should never have put a continuing resolution. We needed a full budget passed. We just had a handful of rhino Republicans vote with Democrats to restrict the president's ability to continue military operations in Venezuela. The name that really frustrated me there, Josh Hawley. I knocked on doors for that bozo in Missouri, and I'm pissed. I've already called and left him a couple of messages. But we're seeing the narrative. And if Democrats, if the left, if the news media can continue to just sow these little seeds of doubt and negativity, it's going to work. It is going to work. You know it. I know it. And once you start recognizing this pattern, once you start understanding how the division is being created, you understand the whole mechanism. You understand the news media. You understand where they're getting their talking points. It's why channels like mine and others are successful, because we zoom out, we try not to get emotionally attached to some of these stories, and we look at the bigger picture. We look at that 30,000 foot view. We look at it from just below the surface, peeking out with a periscope, getting a real perspective. Smash a like and subscribe button. I would really appreciate it if you like these kind of breakdowns. You guys take care. I will see you in the next one. Damn, these people are crazy.